Robert Davi.
Attention. You're about to hear the captivating voice of an icon in the movie industry. You've heard him and seen him in performances in over 140 films. He's met and influenced many world leaders. And now he's about to tell you how to save the America he loves.
I'm Dwayne Robinson, LAPD. I'm in charge here.
Not anymore.
Unique, brilliant, unpredictable. Robert Davi was a man born for radio. He performed in pop culture's classics Die Hard, Goonies, Showgirls, and the Bond film License to Kill, where he's considered by many as one of the 3 top Bond bad guys of all time.
You know, I'm the one delivering the message, not receiving it.
He is movie royalty whose career spans 40 years. Unpredictable. On both the big screen and small, Davi's made a difference. He was the male lead in NBC's groundbreaking crime series Profiler. Hundreds of performances in the top shows of all time. CSI, Criminal Minds, Stargate Atlantis.
Davi.
I want you to know this is nothing personal. It's purely business.
Robert Davi is a Renaissance man who writes, directs, sings, and does it all with excellence.
Business.
His first album, Davi Sings Sinatra, was charted number 6 on Billboard Jazz. Born for radio. His world tour has gotten raves. Even the famed Quincy Jones said of Davi, "He touched me down to my soul and brought back the essence and soul of old Blue Eyes himself." Down to my soul. A new documentary, Davi's Way, will be released in 2017. Davi is the father of 5 children who, along with the love he has for his faith in America, truly define who he is.
Come on, eat my pepperoni. Want your pepperoni? Huh? Come on, let's kill each other. Get away!
He was the FBI Man of the Year in 2001.
Davi.
He saved a young girl from a fire. He received an award from the Order of the Purple Heart and many others. Unique. Robert Davi believes he should use his voice to both repay and help save his America. The America that made his dreams come true. Save his America. The America his Italian grandparents and parents assimilated into and loved.
Yes, okay, we're all very impressed, but let's get on with it now.
Robert Davi wants something more than a talk show. He wants to speak to America. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Robert Davi Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Robert Davi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Whatever part of the day you might be in. Lots is happening as always. There have been more WikiLeaks drops. And we have a country in political turmoil. We have the foment of the nation's most divisive election in the history of modern times. We were not around back in the day, prior to the Civil War and some other aspects that were absolutely intense. But today, we're witnessing historical significance, not only here, but around the world. Things that are happening so quickly. The world situation is happening so quickly, it's dangerous. It's absolutely frightening what's happening to the world. And we're here in America, this blessed country, this Judeo-Christian nation, as we approach, or as we're into Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Forgiveness. This is the time when our Jewish brothers and sisters atone for their sins. They ask forgiveness for if they've hurt you, or they, if they've helped you, they tell you that they haven't helped you enough. So it's a moment of reflection. And we don't hear that in our nation, do we? We don't hear that Judeo-Christian values. We hear little sound bites of things as we drive along in our cars. We hear the hustle and bustle of advertisements for vitamins and insurance policies or whatever it is, pizzeria, chicken wings. But we don't hear about the soul. We hear nothing about our salvation. When It's the most crucial time in the history of our nation to reflect upon who we are, not only as individuals, but as a collective, the collective conscious of our whole nation. We are out of balance. Man is out of balance. We're crashing. I say to us that on November 8th, a comet will approach the Earth, and the United States may be destroyed. We have the power to change the course of history. I think not only the nation, not only the United States of America is on course for destruction, and I'm not a fatalist, but I see frightening aspects to the world. I'm worried about the world, my dear friends. I'm worried about our salvation, about what it's going to happen. How do we save ourselves? Do you know? Do you know how important religion is in our lives? When I was a kid, I wanted to be a priest. The priesthood was something that was held on high. That's right, we felt that there was something sacred about the priesthood. Me and my friends, we wanted to be priests. There was the mysticism of that, and I'm sure my mishpucha friends, my Jewish friends, the idea of rabbi. Even rabbi, there was something mystical about that. Hello, rabbi. And our evangelical friends, the pastors around the country, around the nation, that guide the flock. Well, we are sheep now, and we're lost. We're wandering in a field. The three religions, if you may call it that, or three aspects of it: Judeo-Christian, Catholicism, evangelicalism, and Judaism. We are bumping into each other. We're not unifying to each other. You see, globalism is anti-religion. Do you realize that? Do you realize that globalism is anti-religion? Do you realize that the pantheistic aspect to the whole political process is one of marching us toward globalism? Do you believe that? Do you understand that? You know, it was just recently brought up in WikiLeaks. Yes, WikiLeaks. Once again, WikiLeaks. That the Clinton campaign, some of the chief of staff, denigrated Catholicism and evangelical. Denigrate those two movements. Do you have a perception on that? Do you realize what that is? Has anyone really ever paid heed to that? Over and over again, we see this happening to our faith-based country, being torn apart by special interests and by a cultural disease that's infected us. We have a cultural disease. We have a virus worse than AIDS, worse than Zika, worse than cancer. It's a virus that is unseen, pervasive over the nation. And yet, we still have no idea what it is, where it's coming from. We go about our lives getting the misinformation. We get fed pablum. We get fed styrofoam. Our diets are styrofoam. Our spiritual diets are filled with styrofoam, for the most part. Does that worry you? It worries me. Does that concern you? It concerns me. Because this election is being stolen from the American people. The media, which is no friend to faith. You see, science, while important and necessary, science is the God, the pantheistic aspect of life. Without faith, there's no ritual. There's no solemn sacrifice. In December, I wrote an article that was prophetic. It was Trump versus Hillary. Merry Christmas, or may the force be with you. The Battle for the Soul of America. It got a certain amount of readership. This was December 21st, just before the holidays. I wrote the article because I was watching television, watching, of course, the political shows, because we were in the dead of the primary season. And albeit Star Wars had just come out, but this is right prior to the beginning of the Christmas Holy Week, the most important week in Christendom. And Hillary Clinton gives a speech, and she ends the speech with a smile on her face, and she says, "May the Force be with you. May the Force be with you." No, I understood that, clever. But she could have said, "Merry Christmas, and may the Force be with you." But she didn't say that. She said, "May the Force be with you." Ladies and gentlemen, reflect on that. Reflect on that for a second. And then realize that these WikiLeaks that just came out talk about how her staff members denigrate Catholicism and evangelicalism. You think about that. And you think about what that means as opposed to some kind of locker room talk. What that means for Christianity. And when we come back, more on my article, Trump versus Hillary. Merry Christmas, or may the Force be with you. The battle for the soul of America. Ye, open your ears, open your eyes. Robert Davi back momentarily.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Call Robert now. 800-449-8255. 800-449-TALK.
For more information on this and other great talk programs, go to talkradionetwork.com.
Spread the word. Now there is powerful nutritional support for migraine sufferers. It's estimated that 35 million people suffer with migraines. Are you or a family member one of them? Well, now there is MigRelief by Akeso Health Sciences. MigRelief is a safe and healthy, non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address the nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Just take 2 capsules a day of MigRelief for 3 months and see the amazing difference it can make in your life, or get your money back. No questions asked. There's nothing to lose. Akeso Health Sciences MigRelief has been helping people just like you for 20 years. Try MigRelief and get your life back risk-free with just one call. Call 1-800-MIG-7354, 1-800-MIG-7354, or go to MIG911.com.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Robert Davi.
This is Robert Davi, and the most crucial election of our time is facing us. 26 days away. The course of human history could be changed. And it's not about temperament, because let me tell you something about temperament. We know that whether you like Dick Morris or not, he was on the inner sanctum of the Clinton life and political time. He was there. He wrote books on it, but we don't hear about it. We don't hear enough about the inner sanctum of the Clintons, how they treated some of the staff. You've never heard that about Donald Trump. I had someone on the air who worked for him for 16 years, how he treated the people that he worked for. Person to person, with dignity. You've heard that, but we don't hear that on the mainstream media. And we don't hear anything about Dick Morris. Oh, it's old news, they say. It's old news, so they don't talk about old news. Well, many people have not heard some of that old news. Perhaps it should be uncovered. Perhaps the campaign should uncover some of that. I believe they're missing some things big time. I think if anyone from the campaign is listening, you should make sure the public understands how the staffs were treated. Not just a little blurb here and there, but have the surrogates go out and talk about it. No one has brought it up. It's sad. There are things being missed. We see it. Some of us that know, we see it. Unfortunate. But the biggest thing that's missed is an article I wrote in December 21st. Trump versus Hillary. Merry Christmas, or may the force be with you, the battle for the soul of America. My dear fellow Americans, my dear Catholics, evangelicals, my dear Jewish mishpuchas, during your Yom Kippur, let all of us reflect, because Yom Kippur was part of Christ's tradition. And as Christians, and as the leader of the apex of Christianity, is the salvation and the crucifixion and redemption and resurrection of our Lord. Let's all take this time at Yom Kippur to reflect what we have to do and the responsibility we have for our nation right now, all of us. You have accountability. You have accountability. You must wake up out of your slumbering malaise and take responsibility for your part. That's right, all our parts in dismantling America. We must not be asleep at the voting booth. Our country has been run into the ground, and we are electing the leader of the free world. We're not electing a pope or a cardinal or a bishop. No, I love sports, but I don't spend hours watching sporting events, movies, or television. While entertaining, I believe they have now become the opium of the clueless and misinformed masses. No, you see, I become a political junkie. Because that's where policy begins. That's where information begins. That's where the future of my children live in. I watch all the shows, read as much as I can, and I find it fascinating. And I understand the manipulation of the media by being in film and television for the past 35 years. The up-close personal education I received in how perception is shaped and sculpted, it's eye-opening, to say the least. You see, my dear friends, it's all a sham. Do you understand that? It's all a sham. We are being bamboozled. We are being manipulated. We are being drugged. We are being sold down the river. Sometimes the most talented do not get their due, but those who have the correct groupthink, money, politics, and alliances do. This is Robert Davi. Stay tuned for the truth as I see it, as I understand it.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Call Robert now. 800-449-TALK.
Hello, I'm Roy Masters. In spite of the fact I dislike asking for financial support for my listeners, I realize the consequence of failing to do so. I will have denied my listeners the second chance to express the grace of paying forward the benefits they receive through my radio program and the Foundation of Human Understanding, the organization I founded over 50 years ago. Your support will make a vital difference with the pledge as little as 63 cents a day throughout this year. Consider a donation of $19.95 per month or whatever you can afford, and help me help others, especially our returning heroes. So for the sake of the military and millions of broken lives, if you haven't done so already, pay it forward, the benefits which you've received throughout the years from one crying in the wilderness. Go to FHU.com/donate, FHU.com/donate. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
The Foundation of Human Understanding is a 501c3 church.
This is the is the Robert Davi Show.
This is Robert Davi, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to talk to you about the battle for the soul of America. I wrote an article back in December 21st of 2015. Trump versus Hillary. Merry Christmas, or may the force be with you, the battle for the soul of America. And in light of these WikiLeaks exposures that happened yesterday, where it says that there's been an attack on Catholicism and evangelicalism, and this being Yom Kippur, the high holidays of the Jewish religion, Day of Atonement, I've reflected on this, and it's imperative that I speak to you of this, that we communicate this, that we understand, that we open our hearts and minds to what I'm saying and how important it is. Now, I've said to you that it's all a sham. You see, it doesn't matter what the talent is, but those who have correct groupthink or the money or the politics and alliances, that's how things get shaped. Folks get together in a room and decide who, how, and what they're going to promote. Just look at some of the organizations, folks in the entertainment back, and you can see that they can consult and decide on an agenda. You can see it. It's all about alliances and friendships that go way back. I said the other day, the caste system. I said that America's now has a caste system. Well, it's alive and well, not only in Hollywood, my dear friends, but especially in politics. I watched the Democrats. I'm open-minded. I'm not in lockstep with anyone. You know, I tell you, if better ideas for America come from the left, then so be it. I listen and make my assessments, and then bring them into what my feeling might be, whether it be on alternative energies or whatever it might be. But we know that we've said we're going to discuss all of these things. They're all on the table as we make a transference from organic energy, let's call it, to alternative energies, which are all organic. It's just how they're delivered. Now, imagine a State of the Union. Our once great country is crumbling. We have lied, deceived the American people. We have pursued the interest of not all Americans, but only of special interests. We have fractured our society, lied in manipulating you into thinking we are moving forward. Day after day, our values are being rerouted. I say to you, imagine an asteroid that is on a collision course with the Earth. But the attempts to thwart it only draw it closer. You see, we're moving toward oblivion. We are witnessing the godless secularization of America. We have given rise to a generation of Edmonds from King Lear, where the prayer is now, "Thou, nature, art my goddess." We are no longer allowed to say Merry Christmas. On the eve of Christmas week, we have a Democrat presidential frontrunner, Hillary Clinton, not closing the Democrat debate with God Bless America or Merry Christmas. No, instead she says, "May the force be with you." Now, you can laugh this off as just a pop culture reference to the Star Wars movie, but ask yourself, can you even imagine her closing by saying Merry Christmas or God Bless America? How about both? And then may the force be with you as a side to the Star Trek fans. But you see, in that statement, there was a bigger statement. That was a globalist statement. That was the abdication of faith. Oh, it's clever, may the force be with you. And I know a lot of the Star Trek fans, and yes, the higher power of... I understand all of that. I'm kind of new age. I bring that into my Christianity. I don't deny certain aspects of spiritualism that give us a depth to our prayer and our connection with God and our higher power. I don't deny that. They want to box Christians and Catholics and Jews into a small little box of... and Muslims. some of them, into a small little box of outdated, antiquated ideas. But that's been the progress of civilization. Faith is the byproduct of time, millenniums, all those hours spent in life. You know, it reminds me of something. It reminds me of a moment from, I think it was, what was it again? It was a wonderful poet, wonderful writer. His name was James Joyce. The great James Joyce. I don't know if you've heard of James Joyce. Irish poet. He wrote a book called The Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. And in that book he had a wonderful sequence that was filled with so many spiritual questions and doubts of a young man, but based in faith. I remember in my Catholic high school reading it, vaguely, but there was a section of it talking about hell. Hell. From James Joyce. What must it be then? To bear the manifold tortures of hell forever. Forever. For all eternity. Not for a year or an age, but forever. Now try to imagine the full and awful meaning of this. Forever. You have often seen the sand on the seashore. How fine are its tiny grains, and how many of those tiny grains go into the makeup of a small handful which a child grasps in its play. Now imagine a mountain of that sand. A mountain 1,000,000 miles high, reaching from the earth to the furthest heavens, and 1,000,000 miles broad, extending to remotest space, and 1,000,000 miles in thickness. And imagine such an enormous mass of countless particles of sand multiplied, as often as there are leaves in the forest, drops of water in the mighty ocean, feathers on birds, scales on fish, hairs on animals, atoms in the vast expanse of air. And imagine that at the end of every 1,000,000 years, a little bird came to that mountain and carried away in its beak a tiny grain of the sand. How many millions upon millions of centuries would pass before that bird had carried away even a square foot of that mountain? How many aeons upon aeons of ages before it had carried away all? Yet at the end of that immense stretched time, not even one instant of eternity could be said to have ended. At the end of all those billions and trillions of years, eternity would have scarcely begun. And if that mountain rose again after it had been carried all away, again grain by grain, and if it so rose and sank as many times as there are stars in the sky, atoms in the air, drops of water in the sea, leaves on the trees, feathers upon birds, scales upon fish, hairs upon animals, at the end of all those innumerable risings and sinkings of that immeasurable vast mountain, not even one single instant of eternity could be said to have ended. Even then, at the end of such a period, after that aeon of time, that mere thought of which makes our very brain reel dizzily, eternity would have scarcely begun. Do we ponder what faith is? Think of the universe. They're saying now they want to go to Mars. They're talking about Mars. Have they given up on the Earth? There's so much to do right here. You see, man has not evolved. We are de-evolving. That is the left progressive communist party. We have Russia, who is now calling all its children home from different schools around the world. Russia has said they want to have their children come home that are studying in universities or schools around the world. What are they preparing for? We've heard that Gorbachev said, this is more dangerous than the Cold War. Just the other day, Gorbachev, who with Ronald Reagan brought down the Berlin Wall. We have no partnerships in the world. The progressive left had 8 years of trying something new, and it failed. You see, the devil, ladies and gentlemen, has infected the nation. If you don't think the devil has infected the nation, where's your faith? If you believe in God, you must understand, because when you see things around you, the destruction, when you see the confusion, again, the biblical aspect of this religion, of this election, Trump versus Hillary, Merry Christmas, or may the force be with you. The battle for the soul of America goes beyond the sound bites of some human crass statements made out of ego. When someone faces our nation and the problems in our nation, oh yes, and I know all the, you can listen, I don't want to have a talk show that just shows you has an interview or two and gives you a quick on to the next beat. And that would be boring to me because it affects nothing. It's white noise. No, how do we affect the minds and hearts and souls of all of us? How do we get inspired to elect, to vote, to communicate to each other? What's at stake? We've seen the lies continued after. Look at it, the WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks. Look at all these unjustified attacks on Trump from both the left and the right. The hypocrisy is running rampant. I believe Donald Trump is the last defense America has from secularism and the left's gerrymandering of elections. And this is causing epileptic seizures in politics and the media. Trump stands solely for America's survival. Think a moment of his sacrifice. He's put more on the line than any politician I have ever known. And yet we just mock him. He's not given the credit for it. He has seized the American dream. He knows it is being squandered by the incompetence in our government. This is what's at stake. Put it in perspective. This is Robert Davi. We'll continue on when we come back.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Call Robert now. 800-449-8255. 800-449-TALK.
For more information on this and other great talk programs, go to talkradionetwork.com.
Would you like relief from muscle pain, headaches, and discomfort to sleep better, have more energy during the day, and just feel naturally amazing? Fibromalic can help. Its blend of malic acid and magnesium can provide pain relief and comfort for those who experience fibromyalgia. It helps your body absorb more oxygen, and it works quickly for a significant reduction in pain within 48 hours, all without a prescription. Ask for Fibromalic at health and vitamin shops or shop fibromalic.com.
If you have sciatica, then you know all about the crippling pain that travels from your lower back down your leg when a spasm occurs. It's brutal. In fact, it's enough to take your breath away. Dr. Zhang's Sciatica Nerve Cream helps relieve persistent, shooting pains associated with the sciatic nerve in the lower back and legs. This natural, homeopathic cream contains the most potent ingredients to soothe even the most excruciating pain associated with sciatica. Stop the pain now. Ask for Dr. Zhang's Sciatica Nerve Cream at your local health food store or go online to trasknutrition.com.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Robert Davi.
My dear friends, I've been talking about the WikiLeaks staff from Clinton attacks on Catholics and evangelicals, and how I prophesized this when Hillary Clinton, and Christmas week of December 21st of 2015, I wrote an article called Trump versus Hillary. Merry Christmas, or may the force be with you, the battle for the soul of America. And this is what I've been waxing on for the last few moments. I will continue on to this, because there's so much more. From Trump's first speech announcing his candidacy, he has given voice to what many have thought but were afraid to say. He believes what he tells the American people. It's not Trump who Americans have to fear. You understand that? As some suggest. No, it's the creeping leprosy of political correctness and the mismanagement of a bloated government that we should fear, and the media that we should fear. Trump has shaken the political process to its roots, and the pundits are confused and in a panic. I watch how dishonest they are being to him, and it's quite revealing. At the same time, he exposes the rest of the presidential field as play acting. I watch the practiced tilt of the head, the smile, the feigned sincerity, the outrage. I watch. When I went to Disneyland as a kid for the first time, I saw the historical figures, these automatrons, these robotic characters speaking and addressing the audience, sterile, programmed, inauthentic, every one of them. Sincerely politicians, and the media for the most part, just as programmed. The left accuses Trump of fear-mongering. Well, it's the left that's doing this. Trump is trying to wake Americans up so that to what we've all seen happening to our nation, the erosion of values. Remember when Hillary said that ISIS is using what Trump said in their recruiting videos? That wasn't true. That's one of the most irresponsible statements ever made by a politician. And we all know Hillary did mislead the American people about Benghazi, saying it was a video that caused the death of our ambassador. We all know this. Am I right? We forget this. But it's Trump who's accused of being a bigot, a liar, lewd. Some will say wanting to protect America is not what our country stands for. The left and Hillary can pass gas in the face of the American people. Do you understand that? And the media and Hollywood take in a deep sniff and tell the rest of us how sweet it is. We get dished a load of BS and the media salivates and tells us to eat it up like a Gordon Ramsay 10-course gourmet meal. The left wants you to believe that the Muslim world is upset with America, and that is why terrorists rise up. Well, consider this fact. Iraq used to have over 1.5 million Christians, and today there's barely 200,000 after all the persecution. Besides all the deceivers on the left, We have those on the right who sell America down the tubes, like the absurd Congress. Jeb, Ryan, Lindsay. We know the Clintons and Bush family have a strong bond. Come on. We know what's up, don't we? Some of us do. But no one talks about it. It's the unspoken word. Trump is authentic and unique individual. Do you understand that? He's a trailblazer in politics. What Picasso did to art, Trump is doing to politics. He's reshaping political discourse in America. This is Robert Davi at the top of the hour. My final moments of this. Stay tuned. Tune back. The most important day of your lives.
Robert Davi.
Attention. You're about to hear the captivating voice of an icon in the movie industry. You've heard him and seen him in performances in over 140 films. He's met and influenced many world leaders, and now he's about to tell you how to save the America he loves.
I'm Dwayne Robinson, LAPD. I'm in charge here.
Not anymore.
Unique, brilliant, unpredictable. Robert Davi was a man born for radio. He performed in pop culture's classics Die Hard, Goonies, Showgirls, and the Bond film License to Kill, where he's considered by many as one of the 3 top Bond bad guys of all time.
You know, I'm the one delivering the message, not receiving it.
He is movie royalty whose career spans 40 years. Unpredictable. On both the big screen and small, Davi's made a difference. He was the male lead in NBC's groundbreaking crime series Profiler. Hundreds of performances in the top shows of all time. CSI, Criminal Minds, Stargate Atlantis.
Davi.
I want you to know this is nothing personal. It's purely business.
Robert Davi is a Renaissance man who writes, directs, sings, and does it all with excellence.
Business.
His first album, Davi Sings Sinatra, was charted number 6 on Billboard Jazz. Born for radio. His world tour has gotten raves. Even the famed Quincy Jones said of Davi, "He touched me down to my soul and brought back the essence and soul of old Blue Eyes himself." Down to my soul. A new documentary, Davi's Way, will be released in 2017. Davi is the father of 5 children who, along with the love he has for his faith in America, truly define who he is.
Come on, eat my pepperoni. Want your pepperoni? Huh? Come on, let's kill each other. That guy's gonna win.
He was the FBI Man of the Year in 2001.
Davi.
He saved a young girl from a fire. He received an award from the Order of the Purple Heart and many others. Unique. Robert Davi believes he should use his voice to both repay and help save his America. The America that made his dreams come true. Save his America. The America his Italian grandparents and parents assimilated into and loved.
Yes, okay, we're all very impressed, but let's get on with it now.
Robert Davi wants something more than a talk show. He wants to speak to America. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Robert Davi Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Robert Davi, and I am calling on every Catholic, evangelical, and mishpucha during this high holy day of Yom Kippur for a day of reflection to see what we must do and how we must band together to save the soul of America. The soul of America is under siege. That's what I've talked about the last hour, and I will continue on. Now, WikiLeaks has led a group of leaks, emails again, and another 1,000 today, or 1,200 today. And it'll be continuing letting leak these emails on and on the next several days. But the ones from yesterday talked about a Clinton staff that had denigrated Catholicism and evangelicalism. And also, don't forget, they did that to Bernie Sanders about Judaism. Do you understand the battle for the soul of America? Now, back in December of 2015, I wrote an article, Trump versus Hillary, Merry Christmas, or May the Force be with you, the battle for the soul of America. And as we know, Donald Trump has told Christians. And I believe him that he will protect the rights for Christians to have their faith. Now, during one of her speeches right before Christmas week, Hillary Clinton, instead of saying, "God bless America, Merry Christmas," she ended her speech with, "And may the force be with you," during the Democratic primary. May the force be with you. Now, this was in reference to the release of Star Wars. But, you know, it was a bigger statement because the George Soros atheist globalist statement. Do you understand that George Soros is one of the biggest campaign contributors to Hillary Clinton? He's an atheist. He wants to see Christianity killed, death, murdered at the hands, and he wants globalism to rise up. The Satanistic globalism. Do you understand that? I understand it. I see it happening, my dear friends, all around us. And it's not good for us. It's not good for our children. It's not good for our country. It's not good for our souls. The continued attack on ethics. No, not some locker room talk. I'm not talking about that. They're making it about that, you see. That's the most absurd thing that they can have done. That's a lie. I'm not saying it's right, but it has nothing to do with the bigger issue of what's under attack. They've used that like they used the problems that happened in the Catholic Church with some priests that had issues with children. That was no bigger than the rest of the population. That happens all over the place. It happens in Hollywood. But they made that an issue to tear down the church. To tear it down. Left-wing activists. Do you see what's happening? Do you see what's happening? Trump versus Hillary. Merry Christmas, or may the force be with you. The battle for the soul of America. And you wonder, how do you vote? You have Paul Ryan, who's a Catholic. You hypocrite, you idiot, you. George Soros called Catholics useful idiots. Something is happening. An email shows Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, Podesta, who's a left-wing activist, discussing fomenting revolution in the Catholic Church. He says there needs to be a Catholic spring in which Catholics themselves demand the end of a Middle Ages dictatorship and the beginning of a little democracy and respect for gender equality in the Catholic Church. Opening for a Catholic spring. Newman, president and founder of the progressive nonprofit Voices for Progress, writes to Podesta in an email titled "Opening for a Catholic Spring?" Just musing. Newman is Jewish, admits he doesn't know much about the Catholic Church. Even if the idea isn't crazy, I don't qualify to be involved, and I have not thought at all about how one would plant the seeds of the revolution or who would plant them. Well, I'll tell you who'll plant them. It's been planted by the KGB. It's called liberation theology. It's what Tim Kaine practiced when he went to Latin America in the 80s. Did you know that? Tim Kaine. It's when George Soros said, useful idiots of Catholics, and he gave money. This is all part of a concerted effort. A full revolution, infiltrate the Catholic Church with progressive ideology. It has been, my dear friends. It's called liberation theology. And they don't know it, you see. They don't know this. They only know part of the story. You're not going to get this on Fox News unless they listen to me. Because they don't understand the depth of this infiltration. You'll not get this on Levine or anywhere else or Ingram. They don't know it. They must be attracted to the systematic thought and severely backwards gender relations, must unaware of Christian democracy. This is what, do you realize what they're doing? Do you realize what they are doing? Now let me tell you something about Catholic Church and Catholicism. The Catholic Church and Catholicism hold women in high esteem, reverence. Reverence. Pope John Paul, the cornerstone of our church, is Mary, the Mother of God. The respect. The Virgin Mary, virtuous Mary. Respect for stone. When Mary Magdalene was being thrown stones at. Or Veronica's veil, when she wiped the face of Christ and he left his imprint there, the shroud. The reverence of women in the Catholic Church goes for centuries, from the beginning of time. The beginning of the time of Catholicism. I went to Catholic school, elementary school, and I went to Catholic high school. And not once was there ever denigration of women. This subversive, this is revolutionary, what's happening to us. We must have a revolution. We must have a revolution. I call for a revolution of spirit. I call for all the Jews, all the Christians, evangelicals, and Catholics to band together for a revolution. We can no longer stand by. Do you understand? This is our moment. This is the time. This is the secularists. This is the time. We must band. We must fight against Satan. Globalism is a satanic cult to kill faith. Do I sound extreme? That's how I feel. That's what I see. Nothing good will come of it. Each and every day we see the depth of this infiltration, the depth of the deceit. Robert Davi, back momentarily. We must pray, my dear friends. Get on your knees. Tell your children. We must pray for the battle of the soul of America.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Call Robert now. 800-449-8255. 800-449-TALK.
For more information on this and other great talk programs, go to talkradionetwork.com.
Spread the word. Now there is powerful nutritional support for migraine sufferers. It's estimated that 35 million people suffer with migraines. Are you or a family member one of them? Well, now there is MigRelief by Akeso Health Sciences. MigRelief is a safe and healthy, non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address the nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Just take 2 capsules a day of MigRelief for 3 months and see the amazing difference it can make in your life, or get your money back. No questions asked. There's nothing to lose. Akeso Health Sciences MigRelief has been helping people just like you for 20 years. Try MigRelief and get your life back risk-free with just one call. Call 1-800-MIG-7354, 1-800-MIG-7354, or go to MIG911.com.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Robert Davi.
My dear friends, we are battling for the soul of America. Is that a boring subject to you? Do you want to hear you want to hear little news bites? An interview or two of the same regurgitated nonsense that moves the needle nowhere in our souls or in our hearts? You want some entertainment, some funny quips. Shall I entertain you? Shall I do a little routine, a Jimmy Fallon routine, or a Jon Stewart routine, or a David or Bill Maher cynical routine of atheistic thought, indoctrination? You're not going to get that from me right now, no. Because I see what's happening. We need to band together, all of us. I want to play you some clips from the news last night when the clips, the WikiLeaks clips, first started to appear and what was being said. I think we have the first one from, who was talking about it? Who started? We have that one there with the file, the first clip David gave you. Do you have that, Jose? You can play that? About the WikiLeaks thing. Play that, will you?
Them in this email exchange is that Rupert Murdoch, the owner of this channel, and Robert Thompson, head of News Corp, that they had the nerve to baptize their children Catholic and want to raise them Catholic, which has these officials who want the Catholic vote. The Catholic vote has actually proven very important for Democrats in past elections.
But look, this is the same campaign that gave birth, out of the mouth of Hillary Clinton, the term deplorables, irredeemable, talking about Trump supporters who are evangelicals and socially conservative Catholics. This is troubling, should be troubling politically for her, not because these evangelicals, maybe the Catholics, not the evangelicals are going to vote for her, but it shows the hostility toward religious freedom, and that is where these evangelicals are right now, uncertain about Trump, but now they see the hostility from Hillary Clinton, that their religious freedom is at stake in this election.
Okay, hold on a second. Now, I told you, you mean they're just seeing it now? I begged them back in December 21st of 2015, my article by Davi on Breitbart. Trump versus Hillary. Merry Christmas, or may the force be with you. The battle for the soul of America, where I pleaded to the evangelicals and the faith-based movements to understand what was at stake. By that statement alone. Continue on with that little clip. That was the entire clip. All right, let's go to the Gingrich clip now from later on Hannity's show. New Gingrich clip.
The thing the American people need to understand is that after 8 years of damage by Obama, Hillary Clinton, if she wins, will mean the end of America as we've known it. Literally.
Okay, stop right there.
Her radical
This is, do you hear what he just said? This is Newt Gingrich. Do you respect Newt Gingrich, ladies and gentlemen? All right? When I say it, you might say, oh, he's, an artist, he's an actor, he's not a politician, he hasn't been in politics his whole life. Well, neither had Ronald Reagan. I'm not saying equating with Ronald Reagan. No. But I'm saying that I have my pulse, I have my heart connected to all of America. Watching it over the years in culture, and how culture has been distorted. They've distorted reality. The progressive left has distorted reality. Do you understand that? It's staggering to me that we let it go on. They sell America down the tubes. We have Trump, who's authentic, unique, and he can win. Just think of all the money that's been spent to attack him, all the media against him now. The left and right, the media, make it seem un-American to want to protect America. How absurd is it? Robert Davi, back momentarily.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Call Robert now. 800-449-TALK.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At The Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Donate to The Y at ymca.net/give. The Y, for a better us.
Do you or a loved one suffer migraine headaches? Listen to what scientist Kurt Hendricks has to say.
If you are one of the millions of people who get migraines, you need to know about MiGrelief. Hi, I'm Kurt Hendricks, the scientist who created MiGrelief, the patented dietary supplement that addresses nutritional deficiencies in adults and children with migraines. Thousands of physicians and pharmacists recommend MiGrelief.
Call 800-MIG-7354 or visit MIG911.com.
This is the Robert Davi. Robert Davi.
My dear friends, as we're talking about the WikiLeaks, about the attack on Catholicism and the evangelicals, and this being Yom Kippur, I've been talking and discussing faith in America and the battle for the soul of America. Article I did, Trump versus Hillary. Merry Christmas, or may the force be with you. And that's how she ended one of her Democratic primaries. May the force be with you. Right before Christmas, not Merry Christmas. And now these WikiLeaks show that there's an attack on Catholicism, and they want the Catholic Spring, so to speak. They're asking Podesta to have a Catholic Spring. Hain, oddly enough, who's her presidential candidate. George Soros, one of her largest campaign donors, who's also done financing for Black Lives Matter and for the movement in the Catholic Church to get more social liberation theology involved. This is all George Soros funded. George Soros called Catholics useful idiots. And we see how the left, progressive left, the communist left, wants to use faith to foster progressive communist left-wing attitudes. That's what they did in South America, in Latin America, which is crushing right now. In Latin America, must you know, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Honduras, all these countries are revolting against the progressive left policies. Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, and now Maduro are failures. The people are suffering in those nations, worse than any hurricane. The people are starving to death. The people are eating out of garbage pans or pails. The people, $150 a dozen eggs. This is the beginning there. There's also a conservative movement in Latin America of the liberation theology and the social justice left that is really a kind of, it's a kind of burial ground and an indoctrination. It has nothing to do with faith. It has to do with indoctrination. It was a KGB-inspired, faith-based infiltration of the Catholic Church. And this is what they're calling for now in America. They're calling for the same thing in America. This is what these WikiLeaks tapes start to develop and say. And when she says, the force be with you, do you understand that? Trump is like a Picasso showing us exactly how distorted our society has become. Just think of even Britain. It's gasping its last century of breath before it too becomes distorted, and the voting populace ushers in Sharia. Nothing Trump has said or suggests is un-American. In fact, it's more American. You see, what the left has been doing, it's throwing an election by importing an electorate that is encouraged not to assimilate. Do you understand that? Can you people understand that? If you're on the fence, tell your children to import an electorate that is encouraged not to assimilate is un-American and subversive. And yet we've let this happen. since 1965. You know, recently, an underground broken pipe casing from a natural gas well caused a massive gas leak in Southern California, San Fernando Valley, okay, where I live. The foundation of gas lines in that region have decayed. And we are left with a disaster that even Bobby Kennedy Jr. has said is one of the worst ever. This mirrors our current immigration problem. Can you understand that? Have you even heard about that? I was in Moscow a couple of years ago, and I said earlier that Russia has now called back all their kids that are studying overseas. They want to bring back their children from abroad. Why? When I was in Moscow, I was stunned to see that the churches and synagogues are they're flourishing over there. We're appearing more like the Soviet Union. What about this reset button? Hillary and the Obama administration made it appear that they were buddy-buddy with Putin. And then we found out in these WikiLeaks. We find out that she was in the inner sanctum of Putin. And yet they would have you criticize. They criticize Donald Trump's outreach to Putin for world peace, signaling, let's try to bring it back together. Do you understand that? How do we then... This is supposed to be the Obama administration. The Hollywood left has knelt to Obama, kissed his feet. They kissed the bottoms of his feet. They kissed the bottoms of Obama's feet, and now they're kissing Hillary's ass. And the world is unsafe. The world is unsafe. Hoodwinked, bamboozled. Sure, there's issues. Sure, there are issues that I agree with in terms of who knows about climate change and all of that, but I believe in alternative energy. Yes. But I believe also the energy of faith, of knowledge of God. I believe in that. And I believe America must shroud itself in faith, and yet it's being frayed away. Look at it. Look at our youth. Look at the destruction of our youth. Look at it. It looks like a satanic cult. People walking like zombies. Confused. They're saying now that antidepressants cause suicide. You see, faith. I had crises. I've had... God, did I have crises. I could give you an excuse for anything. If I wanted to become what if I wanted to give you an excuse for whatever it is that might happen, or something I may have done, I have that excuse. I've had sufferings, as we all have. And I can psychobabble it away. But I didn't. Something gave me a spine. A spine that is built on the cross of Christ. And it goes through my veins. I told you I was cured by Padre Pio when I was a kid, but I had faith even before that. I know what faith does. And in spite of whatever venial or mortal sin you might have, there's forgiveness. We have that in church. We have that with our confessors. This is ridiculous what's happening to our country. We have more political correctness than ever before. And yet it's engendering more hostility than ever before. This elite stupidity is destroying our nation. I fear this is the last chance for America. Okay. Masks or faces? Authentic or inauthenticity? Trump is honest. He's a face. Colorful, but he's a face. The rest remind me of people pleasers that reek of inauthenticity. A people pleaser, the Eddie Haskells of the world. Hillary Clinton is like Eddie Haskell. If you don't know what Eddie Haskell was, it was in Leave It to Beaver, the next-door neighbor boy that came over and said, "Hello, Mrs. Cleaver. Hello, Mr. Cleaver." And then behind everyone's back was absolutely duplicitous. Well, what's funny is that the closer people are to Trump, the more they like him. Now, I'm not saying Hillary's not unlikable. People know her. But they're not discussing it. There's been a blackout all over the place. The media is in the tank. It's a known fact. How do you get that across to the populace that we're being bamboozled? You see, I forgive Trump for those statements. I've made crazy statements at times. The braggadocio statements not like, and I feel bad about what I may have said at the spur of the moment because I was like stroking my own stupid male ego. We understand that. He's running for the highest office in the land, and I know, speaking to people that worked with him for 16 years, the doorman, the absolute decency of this gentleman. Irrespective of sexual innuendo, which is a different thing altogether. They're putting a cover, the CoverGirl magazine has the first boy on it. Okay. If that's your thing, CoverGirl magazine is putting the first boy on its cover. Okay. That's celebrated. I'm not going to judge that. You remember Boy George? Boy George. The androgynous sexuality of Boy George. And David Bowie, the androgynous sexuality of David Bowie. Okay. But don't attack my faith. Don't attack Judeo-Christian values. I'm not going to judge anyone's lifestyle. I will not do that. That is not in my purview. That's not my pay grade. I judge my own lifestyle, my own sins. But the left, the progressive left, it takes away your lifestyle. It wants to erase your lifestyle. It doesn't want to add to it. It wants to erase it by saying that you're attacking. It's a manipulation. It's inauthentic. The political class and the media has worn a mask for so long that it's now become part of their skin. How frightening is that? And they talk about this whole epidemic of clowns, people in clown masks going around. What's the symbolism behind that? Man in disorder. A nation in disorder. Oh, it sounds bleak. And then we hear, oh, no, it's wonderful. Everything is good. We'll be fine. We're not going to be fine. There's an alert saying that they're ready for a severe fall in the stock market. What happens then? More dead voters in Colorado. Fraud. Voter fraud happening. The attack on our values. Russia says to their children, come home. Gorbachev says the most dangerous time since the Cold War, or even before. Nuclear war is possible. Is President Obama, Hillary Clinton, and John Kerry a success? Is that what you want? Is this what you want for this country? That's what's happening. You could have all the mediaites, all the media industrial complex. You can have all the interviews you want. The bottom line is the battle for the soul of America. This is Robert Davi. Back momentarily.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Call Robert now. 800-449-12 8255. 800-449-TALK.
For more information on this and other great talk programs, go to talkradionetwork.com.
Spread the word. Now there is powerful nutritional support for migraine sufferers. It's estimated that 35 million people suffer with migraines. Are you or a family member one of them? Well, now there is MigRelief by Akeso Health Sciences. MigRelief is a safe and healthy, non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address the nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Just take 2 capsules a day of MigRelief for 3 months and see the amazing difference it can make in your life, or get your money back. No questions asked. There's nothing to lose. Akeso Health Sciences MigRelief has been helping people just like you for 20 years. Try MigRelief and get your life back risk-free with just one call. Call 1-800-MIG-7354, 1-800-MIG-7354, or go to MIG911.com.
This is the Robert Davi Show. This is the Robert Davi Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Robert Davi. So, you tell me what you want to do. Want to continue on this path and let little Hillary continue on? I see, do you want women? Women, I appeal to you, women. I appeal to you. Look into your hearts. Look into the soul of your children before you. I appeal to you, women. The battle for the soul of America. You know what's right. Man has imperfections. Says that just because Hillary is a woman, you think it's better? Do you really think that? Do you not think that this could be all a big, nice, big... Don't you realize the plot toward globalism? Fraught with special interests? What do we have? The first black-white president to take us further toward progressive left? To get that emotional vote of ours? Because people wanted to have reformation just like Germany did with the immigrants. I talked to the German that came from... a family that came from Germany recently when I was in New York. What did they say to me? Well, we have the immigrants because, Germany has a bad press about, anti-Semitism here. So we allowed the migrants to come in, and we want to show the world that we're good peoples, that we have an open society. Open society in Germany. But yet, the religion calls for not acceptance that they're letting in, but anti-Semitism. That's questionable, is it not? They say that Trump does well with men, but not with the women. I can't believe that. Women are intuitive. Women have an understanding. If you have a boy, you have a girl, it's difficult. But watch television. The pornography on TV, what's being fed. It's really hard sometimes to talk to people that have opposing points of view, that they're just so close-minded. They're not really seeing what the world is. They're not seeing what's happening. I told you, the Russian government officials told to immediately bring back children studying abroad. What does that tell you? The other day I told you Gorbachev said this is the most dangerous time since the Cold War. Perhaps more dangerous. And that nuclear war could happen. All part of a package of measures to prepare the elite. This is what's being said. This is what he said. This is what's being said about bringing back the Russian children. Bring the children home right away. There's a coup on Turkey's President Erdogan. Don't forget about that. And now Putin and Erdogan met together. What's happening? It's unclear why he's bringing them home. Is it an ego play to show who's boss? Or is there a bigger message underneath all of it going on? I don't think it's just posturing on his part. I think something is up. And I think Donald Trump, as he said about bin Laden in 2000, before everyone else did, this will be the biggest deception on the American people. You know, John Milius did a film called Red Dawn, 1984, the great John Milius who wrote Apocalypse Now. The film Red Dawn has kind of an alternative history timeline in which the United States is invaded by the Soviet Union and its Cuban and Nicaraguan allies. The onset of World War III. This is Robert Davi. Stay tuned for the next hour so I can wrap this up in your brain. Please, please, I beg of you.
Robert Davi.
Attention. You're about to hear the captivating voice of an icon in the movie industry. You've heard him and seen him in performances in over 140 films. He's met and influenced many world leaders. And now he's about to tell you how to save the America he loves.
I'm Dwayne Robinson, LAPD. I'm in charge here.
Not anymore.
Unique, brilliant, unpredictable. Robert Davi was a man born for radio. He performed in pop culture's classics Die Hard, Goonies, Showgirls, and the Bond film License to Kill, where he's considered by many as one of the 3 top Bond bad guys of all time.
You know, I'm the one delivering the message, not receiving it.
He is movie royalty whose career spans 40 years. Unpredictable. On both the big screen and small, Davi's made a difference. He was the male lead in NBC's groundbreaking crime series Profiler. Hundreds of performances in the top shows of all time. CSI, Criminal Minds, Stargate Atlantis.
Davi.
I want you to know this is nothing personal. It's purely business.
Robert Davi is a Renaissance man who writes, directs, sings, and does it all with excellence.
Business.
His first album, Davi Sings Sinatra, was charted number 6 on Billboard Jazz. Born for Radio. His world tour has gotten raves. Even the famed Quincy Jones said of Davi, "He touched me down to my soul and brought back the essence and soul of old Blue Eyes himself." Down to my soul. A new documentary, Davi's Way, will be released in 2017. Davi is the father of 5 children who, along with the love he has for his faith in America, truly define who he is.
Come on, eat my pepperoni. Why pepperoni? Huh? Come on, let's kill each other over the pepperoni.
He was the FBI Man of the Year in 2001.
Davi.
He saved a young girl from a fire. He received an award from the Order of the Purple Heart and many others. Unique. Robert Davi believes he should use his voice to both repay and help save his America. The America that made his dreams come true. Save his America. The America his Italian grandparents and parents assimilated into and loved.
Yes, okay, we're all very impressed, but let's get on with it now.
Robert Davi wants something more than a talk show. He wants to speak to America. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Robert Davi Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Robert Davi, and I've been talking about the battle for the soul of America. The WikiLeaks have mentioned that there's an attack on Catholicism and evangelicalism by the progressive left and some people in the Clinton campaign. Also, they've talked about how they want to have a Catholic Spring. And I said that that has already happened in South America, and that Tim Kaine was there in the 80s, along with John Kerry, and that liberation theology was just such a technique used by the KGB to infiltrate Catholicism and bring it toward communism or the progressive left. Now, we are on the holiday of Yom Kippur, and that is the Day of Atonement. And this is a country built on Judeo-Christian values. A friend of mine, a mishpucha, sent this to me. To those I may have wronged, I ask for your forgiveness. For those I may have helped, I wish I could have done more. And for the many I neglected to help, I am truly sorry. To those who helped me, I am deeply grateful. That was sent to me by my mishpucha friend, Murray and Barry Wolf. Great people. Faith, ritual, the beautiful honesty of confession, of atonement. You see, this atonement is so necessary. A day where you can atone, a day where you can see, where you can feel, you can have this kind of absolute, how would I say it? This truth communicated. My dear friends, my dear friends, you see, Catholicism, we have our confessional aspect. When you confess your sins to the priest, when I was little, growing up, you used to say, "Oh my God, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee. And I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell." The Our Father. "Oh my God, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee. And I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all because I offend thee, my God, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve with the help of thy grace to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. Amen." So along with the Our Father, you then said the act of contrition, which was just that. This whole country needs an act of contrition. They laugh at faith. They laugh at our leaders of faith, the pastors. I'm not saying there's not hypocrisy, but the spirit, man's spirit moves upward. Its roots go deep, but it moves upward. Why? Why does everything move upward? It doesn't go down into the muck and the mire. No, but it aspires upward. In spite of what you might think, in spite of the muck and mire of life and a man's sexuality or sensuality or a woman's sensuality, because everyone has that. They call them sins of the flesh. But Donald Trump is a guy that looked up. He built up. He wants to bring America up out of the muck and the mire, in spite of what the left, progressive left, and some of the GOP elites want you to think. The holier than thous. The people that go thinking their nose in the air. I absolutely understand. But how much better to have someone be contrite and ask forgiveness and be embarrassed about something than keep it hidden? Every day we're getting more WikiLeaks. We're getting more things. I told you the Russians want to bring back their children. Gorbachev says it's the most dangerous time. Alliances are being made around the world while America creates more and more conflict. That's what it seems like. We don't know what's happening over there. No one can give us a clear analysis of Syria. Not one person can give us a real clear analysis of what's happening in Syria. Who the players are. The disaster. And we want to continue on our little path toward this election, November 8th. And you females, you beautiful women, You must protect your families. You must protect your families. Again, I say to you, he who is without sin cast the first stone. Buy Cover Girl magazine. The first cover boy is on it. That's fine. A society that is redefining. It is going through its own transgenderedness. The society is being transgendered, which is fine. This is Hillary's world. Okay? We're going to live in it, aren't we, mom and dads? No, you mom and dads, I hold you accountable. You on the fence, I hold you accountable for the future of America. We've tried what they've done for the last 40 years. We've tried what they've done. A kinder, gentler nation. We've tried that, haven't we? And it hasn't worked. Ronald Reagan came aboard, albeit he was attacked viciously. He didn't have the, let's say, Donald Trump doesn't have the savvy or the 40 years later. He has a builder mentality. He has a truck driver. He is a construction worker. He's got a blue-collar mentality, even though he's a billionaire. He's an everyman, even though he's a billionaire. It's that kind of... He wasn't the president of SAG and AFTRA. He wasn't an actor, trained artist. He was a guy whose dad built construction in New York City. His personality isn't of a politician's. He doesn't have the politician or the lawyer finesse or lie or mask about him. Do you understand that? The authenticity of what he is who he is and who he communicates to the people. He's not trying to or hide. He's a guy that cares about our nation, who has judgment in terms of what's best for our nation and a know-how. I've told you about the Wallman Rink, about the infrastructure, how he saved money on that when the government spent $12 million and waste and theft and thievery on an ice ring in New York City in the 1980s. How he came in and captured that whole thing and fixed it. This is what they're afraid of, the waste in Washington. Do you understand that? They sit there and smoke and eat on the taxpayer dollars. I've been there. I've seen them do it. The Politburo, the elite. This is Robert Davi. This is Robert Davi. Keep listening. Back momentarily.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Call Robert now. 800-449-8255. 800-449-TALK.
For more information on this and other great talk programs, go to talkradionetwork.com.
Would you like relief from muscle pain, headaches, and discomfort to sleep better, have more energy during the day, and just feel naturally amazing? Fibromalic can help. Its blend of malic acid and magnesium can provide pain relief and comfort for those who experience fibromyalgia. It helps your body absorb more oxygen, and it works quickly for a significant reduction in pain within 48 hours, all without a prescription. Ask for Fibromalic at health and vitamin shops or shop fibromalic.com.
If you have sciatica, then you know all about the crippling pain that travels from your lower back down your leg when a spasm occurs. It's brutal. In fact, it's enough to take your breath away. Dr. Zhang's sciatica nerve cream helps relieve persistent, shooting pains associated with the sciatic nerve in the lower back and legs. This natural, homeopathic cream contains the most potent ingredients to soothe even the most excruciating pain associated with sciatica. Stop the pain now. Ask for Dr. Zhang's sciatica nerve cream at your local health food store or go online to trasknutrition.com.
This is the Robert Davi Show. This is the Robert Davi Show.
This is Robert Davi, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you something that we've talked about how the Russians are bringing home their children. It's not the only thing they're doing. You see, they also have a permanent base now in Syria. Okay? And the U.S. Southern Command, South Command, which is in charge of military operations in Latin America and the Caribbean, have recently expressed concern about Russia's expanding presence in the Western Hemisphere. Well, what does that mean? The Western Hemisphere. Well, Southcom warns that Moscow is disseminating anti-American propaganda. It's done that since the 50s, 40s. And fueling the anti-U.S. sentiment already exists in Ecuador, Argentina, Venezuela. Talked about liberation theology, remember? Also, what you didn't know, that not only is Russia putting a base in Syria, they're thinking about doing it in Venezuela, in Nicaragua, and reactivating the Cuban missile base. Did you know that? Did you know that? Have you heard that on the news? Yes, in Cuba. Putting one in Venezuela, Nicaragua. Think about that, my dear moms, who kneel at the feet of Hillary Clinton, who are undecided. My dear moms, think about that. Think of your children. Oh, forget about the unborn. Forget about that. But think about what the future holds for your country. Think about your culpability. What your culpability is. And how the distraction is climate change. It may be. And we need alternative energy. And we need all of this. Absolutely. We need to think forward. Absolutely. I agree with you. But there's a distraction. It's the three-card Monte of politics. Our youth is being told about climate change and about how in Florida the sewer system is getting salt water and coming up through the city. And things are happening there, and they're appealing to that emotional base. And while that's happening, and while the children are worrying about that, they're not being told that Russia is probably going to rebuild its missile base in Cuba and Venezuela, in Latin America. The Red Dawn movie that John Milius wrote in 1984, who also wrote Apocalypse Now, you must remember. That scenario may become a reality. That's another George Orwellian thing. Isn't it interesting how he wrote that movie in 1984? Red Dawn. And we're worrying about someone's comments in a locker room, so to speak, and making that the issue, and why women shouldn't vote for him. Not someone who can protect us. Not someone who wants to protect America, who's not a globalist. We know she's a globalist. Do you understand that, my dear friends? Do you understand that she's a globalist? It's not America first with her. It's not. Why do you think? Robert De Niro gave this big speech the other day against Trump. Do you know where he was when he gave it? He was in Dubai. Did anyone tell you that? If you did hear about his speech, his anti-Trump rant, he was in Dubai when he gave that rant. What could that be about? What could happen? I understand. Trust me, money is the root of all evil. Money, not morality, is the principal commerce of civilized nations. Marlon Brando from The Formula. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You know, sometimes you just want to just close shop. Because why bother? People are deaf. People don't really care. Or they can't care. Because there's too much for them to do. Rushing about with their children, their lives. Robert Davi, back momentarily.
Hello, my name is Roy Masters. I'm an English veteran who's been witness to history and proud to become an American citizen. Because in America, free thought was encouraged and being truthful mattered more than being nice. My America was truly politically incorrect in all the best ways, which is why we were blessed. But things have changed, and Americans don't think American anymore. Even though I still speak with an English accent, my heart thinks American. My voice speaks American. And that is freedom. Please join me on my daily radio show Advice Line, Monday through Friday, and I will help you to reclaim our country. Let me help you find the courage to think and speak American again. Please download my radio show app, available now at the Apple App Store and Android Google Play. Thank you.
The Foundation of Human Understanding is a 501c3 church.
This is the Robert This is the Robert Davi Show.
My dear friends, my dear women, my dear moms, my aunts, my sisters, my brothers, my grandmothers, I beg of you, please, meditate on this election. Don't let it be an emotional election. Don't let it be because you've heard something that made you feel uncomfortable. Don't let it be about the battle between a male and a female, the sexes again. Don't let it be about that. This is exactly what they did. This is all part of the progressive left communist movement. You see, they put forward President Obama, and now they put forward a woman to appeal to a certain kind of ideologies. So that became an emotional block, a blind spot. It just takes a few blind spots to create an accident. You drive in your car. Sometimes I drive in my car and I've got to do multiple takes. And how many times, thank God, I avoided an accident because of a blind spot, because I didn't take the time to just look over my shoulder for a second to see clearly. I assumed everything was okay. Or I assumed what I saw in that rearview mirror was what was really happening. I didn't see the sneak attack that was coming into me. And what happens to you when you see that? Your blood pressure goes up, or your blood starts to boil, or something happens, and you get frightened for a second. Because you just, by seconds, by milliseconds, you just averted a tragedy. Who knows what could have happened? Especially if you have children in the car. Perhaps if you're by yourself, but when you have children or other lives, each one of us is responsible for another life. We're responsible for other lives, the person next to you, our actions. Forget Donald Trump's braggadocio. Please, forget those stupid discussions about what they want to do to you. Megyn Kelly who's a lovely, smart, intelligent woman who turned out she was Catholic the other day. I found out she was Catholic, and because of these WikiLeaks, and how the Catholic Church and evangelicals, people of faith, and how in the WikiLeaks, the faith of the Murdochs, Rupert Murdoch, who owned Fox News, children who were baptized Catholic, they brought them up Catholic. They were ridiculed. The faith was ridiculed. I can tell you the Catholic faith, Judaism, evangelicalism, these are beautiful religions. In all religions have their place. But for me, I'm sorry, I am Catholic. So I have my own point of view on all of it. And while I respect other religions, but the attack was on Catholicism. The attack was on Catholicism. And Megyn Kelly said she was a Catholic. And she's close to the Murdoch boys. Now, my question is this. In Catholicism, you have a venial or a mortal sin. A venial sin is saying a bad word, saying something untoward. A mortal sin is something much deeper. A mortal sin causes a life to be lost. A mortal sin is something much deeper. It's a treason. And I've noticed that Megyn Kelly, and she has this, she's a lawyer, but there's a different issue going on there, you see. I, as a Catholic, try to be pure in my thinking. I try to purify myself in spite of my own prejudice. I understand that I have it. I'm guided by my own prejudice, the way I think. I don't say anything in terms of dogma because I don't know that, but I have my beliefs. But the foment that she has against Donald Trump on certain things that are venial, and that she doesn't have against Clinton when they're mortal. I said to her the other day through a tweet, do you think Donald Trump's comments are a venial or a mortal sin? And do you think that Hillary Rodham Clinton's stance on abortion is a venial or a mortal sin? If you just wanted to go on the morality of a question, now that's another hot topic for women. But I am glad, my dear women, that I'm not you. I am glad that I don't have to face the questions that you do in terms of pregnancy. And I have a responsibility as a male, absolutely. I have accountability, absolutely. But I don't know if I would have that ability to. I don't know what I would do at that moment of having to make a decision out of whatever it might be for. I don't know. I don't have that. You do. That's the biggest issue facing people. They politicized it, but it's really a spiritual issue. But they've put it into politics to create divisiveness, and this is something that you must examine your own conscience with. The pro-choice, pro-life battle, when it shouldn't be a battle at all. Because everything is pro-life. Every choice is pro-life. Every choice we make is pro-life. According to the progressives, climate change is pro-life. Except when it's convenient, you see. Then it becomes pro-choice. I am very flawed. Perhaps I should just shut up and sing. But there's something in me that wants to speak to America. There's something that's driving in me, and I don't know where it's coming from. I pray in my fallible way, because my example is just so weak, trust me. But how do we understand what's happening? How do we beg the question between mortal and venial sin? I don't know if evangelicals have that, but we do in Catholicism. And Megyn Kelly is a Catholic. And if she's treating a venial sin like it's a mortal sin, that there's no forgiveness involved, then is she not committing a sin herself if she's Catholic? And are not the Murdochs considering a sin? Because of the Murdoch boys, from what I've been told, and now it's a Vanity Fair article, are left-wing progressives. I don't know if they are or not. And that's why you're seeing the switch slowly in Fox News. The culture change in Fox News. It's a globalistic, progressive left agenda. It's evolving. It's evolving into something else, the cover boy on CoverGirl magazine, which is fine. I understand that. I'm an artist. I'm conflicted because I understand. I can empathize, and I understand that difficulty. But what I don't understand, aside from all the social issues, those social things that put us in little boxes and separate us instead of connecting us, aside from all those social issues that are made bigger than they really are, on purpose, by the media, by culture, besides all those things that are separating us and repelling us from each other instead of bringing us together, we have a country, e pluribus unum. We have a country that brings us together. What is best for our country? What is best for America first? We have seen from WikiLeaks that Hillary Clinton has said she is for open borders and open borders. Open borders. Open society. More migrations. We have too much immigration in our country right now. We need to get control of our nation, get control of our finances. Do you understand, moms and dads, if you're struggling for money? If you're struggling for money, if you're trying to have, we know that Obamacare is a lie. We know that every progressive platform is basically built on cotton candy foundation. It's sweet tasting, but it'll collapse the minute you put any real weight on it. And yet we let this happen. The whole world. All the globalists. But there are people, though. There are legions of people that understand what's happening. The underground movement, the anonymous, or the silent majority. They understand what's happening all over the world. They don't talk about this in the media. They don't talk what's happening in Germany and Sweden and the rest of Europe. The walls being built. The fear of migration. We're not being told the truth of what's happening there. It's being sugar-coated. Again, cotton candy. You're being fed the sweetness of cotton candy. But can I tell you something? I've been near those cotton candy machines. You know how they weave them? You go to a fair, and they're fun. And it's fun watching them weave. Take that cardboard cone, and they just stir it around that pan that cotton candy is just building and weaving and building and weaving. And the first tastes are nice. The first few tastes are nice. They're wispy. sweet tasting. But then, if you hang around that long enough, that sweet smell starts to be sickening. And it literally makes you ill. See, the media is doing that to us with this sweet smell. They lie to us. They manipulate us. I see how it's manipulated. I do. I'm in the center of the web, so to speak. I've been inside for 35 years. I know what happens. And I'm not saying there's not intelligent and there's not committed people. There are issues we all can agree on. But the first one is our nation's health. Your children. Lives you're responsible for. Lives you're responsible for. Look at the world today. Look at the world today. 8 years of progressivism. Hillary Clinton, Kerry, Trump. Who do you want? Davi, back momentarily.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Call Robert now. 800-449-TALK.
For more information on this and other great talk programs, go to talkradionetwork.com.
Spread the word. Now there is powerful nutritional support for migraine sufferers. It's estimated that 35 million people suffer with migraines. Are you or a family member one of them? Well, now there is MigRelief by Akeso Health Sciences. MigRelief is a safe and healthy, non-prescription dietary supplement recommended by neurologists, pharmacists, and pediatricians to address the nutritional deficiencies in both adults and children over 2 with migraines. Just take 2 capsules a day of MigRelief for 3 months and see the amazing difference it can make in your life, or get your money back. No questions asked. There's nothing to lose. Akeso Health Sciences MigRelief has been helping people just like you for 20 years. Try MigRelief and get your life back risk-free with just one call. Call 1-800-MIG-7354, 1-800-MIG-7354, or go to MIG911.com.
This is the Robert Davi Show. Robert Davi.
My dear friends, my dear mothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, nieces, brothers, grandmothers, fathers, uncles, cousins, friends. Can you please play that, Jose?
We've seen rage and...
No, not that. The music. I wanted the music to come right into the last segment. So, this whole show, to me, wraps up in an article I wrote December 21st, 2015. And because of the WikiLeaks emails that said there was an attack on Christianity, evangelicalism, and Catholicism, I decided to resurrect that article that I don't know if many people read. But it was Trump or Hillary. Merry Christmas, or may the force be with you, the battle for the soul of America. I also brought up in the show the difference in Catholicism, and this being Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, forgiveness. I ask you this, and I brought up in Catholic terms because I'm a Catholic, about a venial and mortal sin. And time spent in hell, what it would be like, eternity. I also brought that up from a James Joyce novel called The Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. I want to leave you with this, my dear fellow Americans. I want to leave you with this thought. And if you hear this show today, I beg you to let every friend of yours that hasn't heard it spend the few hours with me. The Robert Davi app, you can find it on the App Store for free. The Robert Davi Show. I leave you with this. Do you think locker room comments are a venial or a mortal sin? This is the question I asked Megyn Kelly through a text, through a Twitter. And I'm going to change what I asked her about Hillary Clinton. Do you think the lewd comments of Trump are a venial or mortal sin? Or do you think the lie of Benghazi by Hillary Clinton and what happened there to the American people is a venial or mortal sin? That lie. You tell me, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to think about that. I want you to tell your friends that that one issue alone disqualifies her as President of the United States of America. Because as those bodies, as the remains of those bodies of our American dead from Libya emerged from that plane, this is what Hillary Clinton said caused it. You can play that now, Jose.
We've seen rage and violence directed at American embassies over an awful internet video that we had nothing to do with.
Ladies and gentlemen, very simply, that's not telling the truth. The Secretary of State of the United States of America, the President of the United States and the administration blamed the uprising in Libya on that, on a videotape, when they knew that it wasn't. The media, Candy Crowley, during the second debate with Mitt Romney and President Obama in the 2012 election, held up a piece of paper. Candy, show him. The media was compliant in throwing the election toward President Obama, as they are right now to Hillary Clinton. Is that a venial or mortal sin against the American people? I leave you with that, and I leave you with amazing grace, because that's all we can have, and that's all that will save this nation. God bless you.
This is the Robert Davi Show.